Finbar Webster /Rex /Shutterstock Leave voters greeting the result of the EU referendum in June 2016. One element of their strategy is to create such a climate of despair over Brexit that the public will eventually demand a second referendum. To this end, every difficulty is turned into an insurmountable obstacle, every problem into a crisis. But the Remainers' bleak narrative is persistently confounded by events. The economy has not gone into meltdown. On the contrary, it has enjoyed robust growth. Similarly, the talks on Brexit have progressed far more successfully and swiftly than the Remainers predicted. Last week, Theresa May concluded the transition deal for Britain, which opens the way for fruitful negotiations on trade. In contrast to the Remainers' manufactured despondency, the mood in Brussels is now positive, with the European Council confirming its readiness to initiate work towards a balanced, ambitious and wide-ranging free trade agreement. But the anti-Brexiteers will not abandon their determination to thwart the people's will. The other, much more sinister strand of their strategy is to question the very legitimacy of the referendum result. They claim that democracy was subverted by breaches of campaign rules and the dishonest manipulation of the electorate. The Great Brexit Robbery, How the Vote Was Hijacked, ran one recent, breathless headline in a pro-Remain newspaper. EPA/Olivier Huszlet President Jean-Claude Juncker greets Prime Minister Theresa May during the European Council meeting. For a while, a favorite gripe was to complain that Russia was behind the Brexit victory by sending out anti-EU messages on social media from so-called troll factories. That nonsense was exploded when Twitter bosses told MPs that Russian-led accounts represented less than 0.005% of the total of accounts that tweeted about the referendum. Undaunted by that failure, the Remain diehards have come up with two new assertions. First, that the Leave campaign hired computer analysts to trawl through social media and harvest personal data that could be used to target voters. Second, that such activities were buttressed by dubious donations to pro-Brexit pressure groups. Yesterday, Shamir Sani, a former anti-EU activist who now presents himself as a crusading whistleblower, claimed that, shortly before the vote, the official Leave campaign gave £625,000 to the Believe organization in order both to evade illegal spending cap and to pay for data-gathering expertise from the Canadian firm. Make such charges build on press accusations that the British company Cambridge Analytica was involved in shadowy data exploitation to swing the victories of Donald Trump and Brexit. People have been lied to and the vote was not legitimate, Sani said at the weekend of the Leave triumph. All this smacks of a wild conspiracy theory, which says more about the desperation of the Remainers than political reality. They cannot understand how they lost, so they construct outlandish plots involving dark, global forces and computer villains. But their accusations do not stand up to scrutiny. The Leave campaign has dismissed the idea of any involvement with Cambridge Analytica and said that its donations were twice cleared by the Electoral Commission. In any case, just like so much in Remainer propaganda, the furor over the use of social media data is grossly overblown. It is just another version of campaigning, like canvassing, advertising or direct mail shots. When President Obama deployed social media to powerful effect in his re-election bid in 2012, he was hailed as a modernizing genius. There was no talk of brainwashing. The real scandal in the referendum was how officialdom abandoned any pretense of objectivity in its heavyweight support for the EU cause. While the Remainers hysterically bleat about Facebook and Twitter trolls, the fact is the government spent £9.3 million on a leaflet to every household, full of dire warnings about the consequences of Brexit. Project Fear filled the airwaves with lurid scare stories, such as the absurd forecast that every home would lose £4,300 if Britain left Europe. Emmanuel Dunn/AFP/Getty. David Davis about to shake hands with EU negotiator Michel Barnier. It has been estimated that the various arms of the Remain campaign spent £27 million, more than twice the £12 million spent by the Leave organisations. That puts the squeals about the £625,000 donation into perspective. For all the media hysteria it has generated, This latest squalid exercise by the Remainers has miserably failed to heighten the pressure for Britain to stay in the EU. One poll last week showed that 57% of people want the government to get on with implementing Brexit and only 22% were opposed. The Remainer initiative has not worked because it is a snobbish insult to the 17.4 million people who backed Brexit. Those voters did so not because they were gullible idiots but because they were free Britons who want the return of our sovereignty from an unaccountable foreign bureaucracy. The referendum was the very opposite of an exercise in mind control. It was a noble step towards real democratic control.